Welcome, everyone, to Construction Insiders, where we are talking with leaders in the various fields of the construction industry. And we are very fortunate to have with us today Scott Schneider with Olde Tyme Floor. And Scott has been in this industry for a number of years. And what stood out to me in our conversations is how he has intentionally built his reputation around craftsmanship, material respect, long-term thinking, not just installing floors, but installing perfection to as much as he can achieve it. So welcome, Scott. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how Olde Tyme Floor came about.
Well, first of all, thank you, Rick, for contacting us and I guess vetting us and having me on your show or your podcast. It's an honor. I really enjoy it. If I can educate people and help them, I'm really thrilled, and I feel like I'm set out to do what I'm supposed to do. So, yes, I'm Scott Schneider. The company's called Olde Tyme Floor Company. We are situated out of Los Angeles, California. My family, my father and mother, started the business back in 1980. Well, you can do the math. It's about 45 years. 1980, I was about 14 years old. So I got into that business on the weekends, summers, and I would be the young man that carried the tools in, that swept the floors, that cleaned, and did all the little assistant type chores until I can demonstrate other skills using different tools, make sure I don't cut my fingers off. So started off with probably the jigsaw. That was the safest out of all the saws. And then probably the chop saw. And then you got the finger taker, which is the table saw. Obviously you got skill saws, reciprocating saws. There's a lot of other saws. So slowly but surely, Dad showed me tool by tool how to use it, to respect it, clean it, store it, organize your tools, all these things. So when I first started going out on my own, I took the van and I opened it up and I cleaned everything out of it. And I put every tool that I would need, the jigsaw, the drill, the grinder. And even if I didn't need it, it was better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it.
Not have it.
And some jobs we'd be doing an installation. So you're not really bringing the sanding material. But when you're working on the subfloor, then there might be some grinding and some sanding. So you would have a grinder or a sander there. So again, that was one of the first things that I kind of learned at the very beginning, being organized. Being organized. It is key. It's key in anything you do, whether you're a surgeon, a mechanic, a car mechanic, right? Or any kind of tradesman. There's a procedure and there's a way to do it. So, I, throughout my schooling, junior high school, middle school, and high school, I was working summer times, weekends if we needed it. Back in the day, I had a lot of strong friends and, everyone was looking for work and my dad had a lot of work. So bring the friends in, we'd all install floors, move furniture. It requires skills, but I used the guys for demolition. When it came to the specific skills, it wasn't productive to have them there. But for the bulk kind of stuff, demo, hauling, carrying wood, it worked out fine. So, as I'm getting older, I'm working, and I'm starting to get into junior college here in Los Angeles. I graduate, and I finally move out of state. I move out of state in pretty much 1989, and after that, I moved to Europe. After that, I actually went from Colorado to Philadelphia. I got a job working on the stock exchange. I got picked up by a firm, and I got into the finance trading business. So I had an opportunity to go to Europe, and it brought me to Germany. So basically, it was an American firm trading with a French bank on the German stock exchange. And I learned how to trade stock options. Of course, I learned how to speak a little German. I was in Frankfurt. And then that job kind of transferred into another type of job. So then I found myself doing what they call bond future arbitrage. And I was living in London, and I lived in Dublin for a bit. But basically, I lived in Europe for about 7 years. And I did an extensive amount of traveling, got a lot of culture, made a ton of friends. It was a wonderful experience, especially 27 to about 35. So it was a wonderful time in my life to experience this. Mm-hmm. And I come back, and I was like, Dad, he's like, you want to come work? And I was like, sure. So I kind of forgot everything. So I had to start over again. I knew the basic skills. It's like riding a bike. Once you get on a bike, you're on it. But if you haven't ridden in 20, 30 years, it might be a little wobbly. Maybe you're going to fall. But generally, you're going to kind of get it. It's kind of in your mind. So I had to come back and start learning all the skills. And basically, it was like 2000, 2001. And I started, progressing, getting better. Finally got another truck. I was assistant, then got a truck, and then I finally got an assistant. And I was starting to go and do smaller jobs. And as I was, getting better, I got bigger and better jobs. And that probably started until about 2010. Around 2010, my dad started grooming me to come in and start doing the administrative side. So meaning to go out to customers and to do estimating and, learn how to make an estimate and create an estimate. So I started to learn. He showed me how to go into somebody's house. I went with him, and I watched, I listened, I learned, I watched how he wrote things down. He showed me how to write it down on a pad of paper and how to be organized. So he said, you have to organize your notes. So when you come home, you can look at these notes and go, okay, I understand. Okay, now we have cell phones and we have recorders and all kinds of stuff. So I can take pictures now and enhance that and supplement it. But basically, take good notes, and then I would come home, crunch the numbers. I learned how to put together a quote. I learned how to type up a quote and then follow up. So I started, like I said, moving towards the administrative side. And about 2017, Dad wanted to retire. So I fully took over, and he transferred the business over to me. And basically, I took the torch and I kept running. Obviously, business has changed significantly over the last 8 years, and even going back, there's a lot of, obviously, technology. The industry has changed as far as, there's certain things that we're going through here in the flooring industry, challenges. But, we're basically here, I know you told me this, to talk about, kind of the waste and being efficient in our business.
You've solidified your experience in this field. So we know we're talking to a seasoned expert, and that's exactly the perspective that we want here.
Well, I'm sorry. I will tell you, Rick, that we weren't always that good. We were good, but mistakes, when you make a mistake, it's costly. It's frustrating. It's embarrassing.
Well, as long as you learn from the mistake.
Well, that's what I was just saying. So that's where other people get mad and point fingers. We had to take responsibility and go, okay, this can't happen again. How can we avoid this? And you know what? Still make mistakes, but thank God we don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
keep them small and not so costly.
Absolutely. So, it's experience that has really gotten us to the place. I kind of figured out like how many square feet we could have laid over 45 years. It was a very simple projection. I thought, okay, if we did 1,000 square feet every week for 40 years, that'd be 50,000 times 40. So that's 5 times 4. It's about 2 million square feet. But I will tell you, my dad had 3 crews, And we were doing jobs that were 5,000 to 10,000 square feet. So we probably did about 6 million square feet of flooring, which sounds like a lot, but we're a small company. I mean, I'm sure there's companies that are probably, hundreds of millions of square feet of flooring, but my goal is not to count like how many square feet I did, but how many quality jobs did I do that were successful, that enabled me to get more business. And that's basically what it comes down to. We're not here because we do poor business. We're here and we've sustained for 45 years because we've learned and we're at the top of our game. And you get to a point where, you can kind of pick and choose your jobs. I get me up, and when something doesn't sound right, or they want me to do something that is not going to be 100% satisfactory for me, for my reputation, I will walk away. And I've learned that because I'll never get a referral. It's kind of like an "I told you so," and it's an uncomfortable predicament to be in at the end of the job when you tell somebody, "Hey, I don't think we should do it. I'm telling you we shouldn't do it. This might happen. You're aware of that and you accept it." Yes. And then it's an "I told you so" at the end of the job. So I just thought, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's it. I just stopped. I just said, "I'm sorry. I know other people have told you they can do it. They want your money. I'm not interested in just taking the job for the job." And I explained to them the same thing, my integrity, my reputation. I go, "I'm sorry. I think you're chasing good money after bad." And I'll tell them that. So that's what I do. But anyways, please.
That fits into our theme as well here, since, we are talking about waste. So when a lot of people hear waste, they think of just some excess scraps of material. But from your perspective, the concept of waste goes much deeper than that. You want to expand on how you feel about waste here?
Of course. Obviously, in the estimating process, very important that you get the square footage correct. So I've made mistakes where it went against us. I thought it was 18 feet. No, it was 180 square feet. I thought it was 18.8. So I made some mistakes like that, and it cost money, and it's painful. So for me, a lot of we have gotten to the point where we're really conscientious about it. Okay, whatever it is, whether it's a 5-pound box of flannel rags. So the flannel rags come in 5 pound, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, and 50 pounds. Well, guess what? I buy only 5-pounders, because if I bought the 10 and the 20 pounders, people will be growing into there and using them more frequently.
Whatever. Yeah.
No, just more frequently, and it's whatever. They're $1 a pound. They're 50. They're not. It's not about the money of it, but it is, because everything adds up. So whether it's the glue, the adhesive, again, when you have a 5-gallon jug of glue, learning how to take the glue out of the container. So at the end, when so you got the teeth on one side and you got the flat blade on the other side, you got to flip the blade around, hold the can, and then put your hand in there and get around the round of the can to get all that out.
Yes. And that is just one more example of some simple things that add to the bid when you're costing jobs.
100%. Driving too. Drive time. I finally got to the point where, wow, I had 9 guys working for me. I figured it out. This guy's at 15, that guy's at 17, that guy's at 20. I figured out all of these 9 guys. It was, I don't know, maybe it was 7 guys at the time, but it was like $150 an hour or something like that. So I thought, if it takes them an hour and an hour each way to get home, how much money is that? And basically it was a salary. it was a salary. And I kind of figured out, I'm like, look, we need to be more efficient. So I had to put some skin on the guys. And I told them, I said, I'm only going to pay for 1 hour of drive time. But I said, this money that we save, it will be in the form of a bonus. So I was able to give bonus at the end of the year. I was able to give a good bonus at the end of the year, and I was able to make a little bit more money on top of it. So it was a win-win. The guys were better off and the company was better off. So again, it's those little things. My man right now is extremely aware of that. And, you know, like I have an agreement with the supplier. I only shop at a couple places and I spend a lot of money there year in and year out. So I said, look, I want to be able to return things overage and not be charged. I got to bring it back. They're going to charge me 25% to bring it back. They said, okay, Scott, within 30 days, you bring it back. We're not going to charge you anything. Okay, done. So I constantly will bring back extra things that I need. Now, like if I got 4 buckets of glue, those are not going to sit around for years. So what I don't want is to spend thousands of dollars on inventory that's just going to be sitting on my shelf. That's not efficient. That's waste. Yeah. So that has changed. We used to have a lot of inventory. Don't need it anymore. I don't need that a lot of stuff. I tape, plastic, rags. Those are like the core things.
Do you see, so in some of my prior discussions, we've talked about how much waste seems to be, waste is a little bit harder to avoid on some customized jobs. There seems to be a lot more customization of homes in this day and age. Do you agree with that? How do you guys see that?
Well, so with regards to flooring, the biggest factor for the waste on any job would be how much flooring you're going to need percentage-wise over. So typically, if it's 1,000 square foot job, I would typically put 10% more for waste. So if it's 1,000 square feet, I'm ordering 1,100 square feet of flooring. Now, if the flooring has 23.25 square feet per box, then I'm rounding up. I'm not rounding down. I'm rounding up for 2 reasons. For 3 reasons. 1, I want to make sure I have enough wood. 2, I want the customer to have at least a couple boxes afterwards. They need to have at least 2 boxes, whether it's 1,000 square feet or it's 10,000 square feet. Fine, 10,000 square feet, they probably need a few more boxes. Because God forbid, if this goes out of manufacture or they change just the dye lot, the color is going to be different. And so if something gets damaged, you know, it gets gouged, I can carefully chisel out that piece of wood, clean the glue, and lace in a piece of wood. And here's the third one that nobody thinks about. So when you buy pre-finished flooring and you open up a box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, the floors will come in what sizes? What sizes are they coming in? It's a 6-foot box. Are there 6-footers in it? How many? Are they all 6s? There are certain brands that are all 6-footers, which is amazing. You want, audience, you want to have long boards because long is nice. Shorter boards are more busy. So what we've learned was, I'm talking about the way we roll, is I don't know a specific product. Are there just a lot of 2 to 3s? They might only have 3 sizes, 2 to 3s, 3 to 4s, 4 to 5s, right? So if you don't know and you're not paying attention, you might have a bunch of short boards piling up. And you've got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 square feet. Well, you better start using that because guess what's going to happen, Rick? All those short boards are going to be more of a percentage in all the other rooms. Right. So here's what we do. My guys will open up 3 or 4 boxes at a time. And basically it says that from the manufacturer because they are saying, hey, wood is natural. We don't know. Every box is different. Wood is different. open up 3 to 4 boxes at a time. So we opened up 3 to 4 boxes at a time, and then I will have one guy separate the wood into the sizes so I can see what are we getting. Now, I will try not to land, especially a 1 footer or 2 footer in the field. I will try never to lay a short board in the field. It will always be at the start, at the finish, in a closet, someplace where it's less visual. Also, when you're installing other people's wood and you don't know it. I mean, I don't know a lot of people's wood because I'm not paying attention. Oh yeah, this one's got a lot of knots in it. Again, so you want to make sure on the bigger jobs, I'll encourage the homeowner to get at least 15% waste. So I have better selection of wood. Now, to get to your question specifically, so imagine if I'm doing a pattern floor, a 2 foot by 2 foot pattern floor, or a 48-inch by 48-inch pattern floor. Now, you're coming up against the wall and you only have a foot left. Well, if it's 4 foot by 4 foot and you're only getting a foot out of it, well, then you got waste. So you're cutting half of it out. Now, could I flip it around and use the other part of that next to it if I'm going down and I'm filling in the area from the last board to the wall? Let's say from the last board to the wall is a foot, it's 6 inches or whatever it is, right? That means, can I take that pattern and cut the factory edge and retain that factory edge and cut it at the place where I'm cutting it, that will go against the wall where the base molding will cover that cut. So am I able to use that piece of wood and reuse it? Now, on a straight piece of wood, this is brilliant. There could be no waste. So let's just say I'm putting in a strip, I'm putting in planks, whatever, and I get up, I'm 2 foot from the wall, okay? So I could grab a 2 foot board. It could be 2 foot and a quarter. So I'm going to have a little waste there. But what happens if I grab the 6 foot board, the 8 foot board? I cut 2 feet and the 6 footer goes to start. So now that's 100% away. Very key in our business. We're all learn that from a young age, especially the older school guys. The newer guys, they're probably not paying attention. They're probably not thinking about the money side of it. So they're not they don't care. They'll just grab another board, whatever, if it's strip flooring. So that's how you avoid waste in the flooring. Now, okay, with tile, when you do a tile floor, and let's say you're coming down a hallway and you're going down several rooms. We did a house in Beverly Hills for very wealthy people. Now, I didn't know who these people were at all. It's in Holmby Hills, which is where the Playboy Mansion is. It's Beverly Hills adjacent, Holmby Hills. And I roll up to the site and we're working downstairs in the basement. The basement had 10-foot ceilings and it was huge. The lady probably was 80 years old and she would show up every day just to work in her garden. That's it. She didn't even go in the house. She never even went downstairs down into the basement. But we're putting in 48 by 48 inch pattern floors. Now, back in the day, I'm talking 30 years ago, they were $150 a pattern. Now they're probably $250, $300. And literally my dad and his lead man back at the day, they went into that area and laid out the floor. So they had to deal with this big hallway. The hallway was 6 feet wide or 7 feet wide. And then there's rooms off of the hallway. So they had to make the pattern perfect down that hallway. And then they had to make it go perfect into the rooms so that when you got into the rooms, centered maybe in the doorway, the pattern was straight. And then, and how did that affect the walls? So sometimes you're like, okay, I'm picking it so it'll be straight in the doorway and down the hallway. I can't help what happens at the interior wall of the room over there. This is the most important focal point, is that it's all lined up here. Who cares what happens at the wall line? Yeah. So again, there's, It's setting it up, being aware, and knowing, having the experience to know that.
Yeah, and that brings us to my next question here, which would be talking about educating the client. And I guess one thing that stood out in some of our conversations is how you consider communication to be very
Vital.
paramount when
Yeah.
not just with the other builders on the site, but most importantly with the customer themselves. And when you're explaining to them that if they want some customization or if they want something special, what the effect that might have when it comes to the pricing of that particular project.
Right. Let's just say there's a big client and we don't know who it is. If my client is the GC, they're my customer. I need to explain it to them, because after that, I don't know what happens. So CYA, cover your rear. I need to make sure that GC knows everything. So believe me, I am overly communicative. Text message, email, phone call. I will follow it up. I will have a phone call, because you can't do it by text. You can't. It is nearly impossible when you're talking about industry standards and specifics on a job. How am I going to explain that to somebody that is a layperson, let alone another, a general contractor? They know how to manage and build a home, but they don't know the ins and outs of my specifics. So I have to take the time to explain it. And that's what changes, or that's the difference between having problems now or later. I had a friend of mine like 15 years ago. He said, Scott, you need to spend more time on the front end than you do the back end. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you need to, he said, at the end of the project where people don't want to pay and they start to argue and there's problems and why didn't you do this? And he said, if you were to be able to handle that all at the beginning, then you're going to have less problems at the end. And I said, and I was angry at the first. I thought, now I'm going to spend more time. And I might even voiced it to him. He's like, well, dude, you're going to spend it then or you're going to spend it then. If you spend it in the beginning, it's a different kind of energy than later. Afterwards, it doesn't feel good. And it's not good with you and the customer, because then you have what happens after that. The billing, you're not going to get a referral. Good job going to come up great. So that has been critical, Rick. Critical. I swear, I have to say it till I'm blue in the face. I can't presume that people, if I told them 3 times, I have to tell them more, no matter who it is. And that's just the way it is. I'm working on a job right now, and the customer dismissed the other flooring contractor. Now think about it. Whenever you get in this kind of situation, it's more sensitive. They're more aware now, the homeowner. They went online, they figured out why did that turn out that way? Now they've just let them go. They think that they're an expert, and now they're calling me. And now I've got to hold their hand and do the job at the same time. And so I'm on a job with a customer right now where I keep having to say it out loud to her. I'm like, ma'am, it's going to be the same, but random. So she wants her floors distressed, and there's chatter marks in the floor. Now, I don't know if you know what a chatter mark is on wood. It's when the saw hits the wood and it makes it straight. So normally you would sand that out, but there is a desire to make floors look old and weathered and like it was 150 years old. And I know how to do that. And so she has said, well, I don't like that. That one's too big. And I said, ma'am, I understand you don't like it. She's like, what do you think? And I said, I like it. I'm going to tell you why I like it. I like it because it's random. It's not that much more. Go over, look at over this scrap. That one's less. So I tried to explain why that has happened. Where did chatter marks come from? I don't know if it fell through deaf ears. Maybe it was a lot of information. But in the 1700s, when they had a saw, the blade didn't stay straight. It wobbled. So when they put the saw through it, it wobbled and the teeth hit the wood, causing a chatter mark. You would sand that out. So I'm trying to explain to her, like, it hit it more. And that's why it's more severe. And I said, look, we're going to hand sand the floors. We're going to hand sand the floors afterwards. So this one that seems a little bit severe, it's going to be toned down because I'm going to hand sand it. So it's, over the last 2 days, I've had to make a comment because we were standing there and she said something out loud to my lead man and I didn't want her to pin him in the corner. So I had to come up and say, Karen, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like this. Now, if you don't want it like that, now that's a different story. But it's not supposed to be the same severity. It's supposed to be more and less. That's what gives it the authenticity. It's called random. I'm putting them in, but they're supposed to look random. So I said, here's what I want you to do. Take some green tape and you put it on the floor where it's too much. And I will hand sand that. I will tone that down. And you take the blue tape and put it in the areas that you want some more. And that's what we're doing. And we're just going 3 boards at a time. So you get a 10-foot by 10-foot room. I've got my man on 3 boards and his assistant next to him on 3 boards. He will do those 3 boards and work himself from the front to the back. And then after that, he finishes his rows. Then he jumps over from the next guy. So it's random between the men too. So even though they're right next to each other, this guy's hand and this guy's force is different from that guy. So when I'm scraping floors, I might have 4 guys and they're all right next to each other. So I have 4 guys doing it the same but different. And that's what you're supposed to do. So getting back to it, over communicating. You can't say it enough.
Yep. And documenting. And documenting everything that gets talked about.
It's the best way to do it.
If there's miscommunication or they think there's miscommunication, we can all go back to the tape, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, thank God it hasn't gotten like that. I'm pretty good. I do 3-way chat on text with my guys too. Sometimes I'll have Caesar reach out and say things because there's things that he can say to the customer that they will listen to him, but they won't listen to me because they think I'm the owner. I'm trying to sell them something. A lot of times he's very successful in communicating with the homeowner.
Sure.
Because he has no angle. He has no agenda except to do the job the right way. That's his agenda.
In their eyes, yeah.
Well,
sure.
In his eyes. No, in his heart.
Yeah. So let's zoom out a little and go industry-wide a little bit. Where do you think the construction industry is most behind when it comes to our topic of waste in the industry?
Whoa, that's a good question.
Is it the mindset? Are there incentives to not be that attentive to waste? Is it training?
Yep. Okay, so those are great. If it's from the industry, if you're the manufacturer, obviously you want people to buy your product. So there's a divergence there. Okay, but I will agree. Maybe there are some wholesome companies that really want to make their mark and they don't want to have a big footprint and their product. Okay, there probably is training. That was the last thing you said. That's very key. And the first thing one was almost like training.
Just the mindset, sure.
Mindset. Those are the 2 major things. I think it really, when you're training someone, people need to know that. Just like safety or anything else. I mean, it's basically common sense.
Yep.
Waste not, what not. You know what, right? Look, I grew up in a family where we were told, try not to waste your food. Try not to waste anything. Try to keep I love this shirt. Try to keep your shirt in the best shape possible. That doesn't make you cheap. It just makes you, you respect things. I said to my kids, I go, you want a car? You want a phone? You want a computer? You're gonna work hard. You want to take care of your stuff that it lasts.
Yeah, right. No, it's just being a good steward.
Yeah, so I will agree with you. I'm just in one small little part. You got painting and electrical and this and drywall and cabinets and God, when you think about it, the amount of waste in a dumpster at the end of the job. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I got a friend that the same guy that told me about communicating more and be more upfront. He was a lead contractor. It would take him 3 months to demolition his houses because he would take it out stud by stud and denail it and then donate it the homes for habitat, and he would get.
Oh, sure.
So his demolition took longer, but in his heart, he knew that he was, and not just that, he would only buy products within 500 miles of the job site. That's another, I didn't know that. So if you wanted to be lead 4 qualified, lead platinum, is that what it is? Lead platinum? That's the highest form of, these are all the things that you would have to, hit these marks. So yeah, he was very, very strict on waste, especially demolition.
Sure.
Doors, the old doors, homes for habitat, homes for humanity, excuse me, Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, people come in and buy these doors. They were still good. The window, all kinds of stuff. And so it's wonderful.
Yeah. Agreed. So one more question. Looking ahead a few years, what changes in processes, materials, or client expectations, what do you think is going to make the biggest dent in construction waste if more companies look at them seriously?
Well, if they look at it more seriously and they want to do something about it, then it should decrease. However, as we grow, there's more industry. So is it going to be flat? Is it going to be net negative? I think we need a lot of training here. I really believe, that would be amazing if you could do some kind of training in the industries. Every industry, an industry leader, you collaborate with a leader in every industry and you try to figure out how to reduce waste. That would be amazing. I knew they do it in the wood flooring business, not just about waste, about all the manufacturers, whether it's the glue and the moisture barrier and the concrete guy and the plywood guy, they all sit down at the same table because they're trying to figure out procedures for the wood flooring industry. So they all need to be on the same page because a lot of different products are being used to make the floors. So they have to sit down and go like, hey, the plywood guy, what do you say? And they have to have communication and figure things out. And then they have standards. So it makes sense.
How is technology going to help with this?
It's going to help. It's going to help. It's already helping, I think. Yeah. Because, the information is going to be with us. So hypothetically, everyone's got a phone on the job. Everyone, there could be an app, as easy as an app to learn about it and train you. Yeah. I don't know. I suppose. And then, you got AI. It's going to be doing things. I'm sure that's. I can't tell you how it's going to work, but you imagine that it could be set up to try to do that and try to minimize it. I've got a friend who's got 75 guys that work for him every day and do tile. He runs such a tight ship because it's very, very low margins, and he's got to do volume. So it's all very, very organized. The drop-offs, the deliveries, everything's got to be really spot on because it's bottom line. You're making 10%, 15%, but you're getting a lot of work. You might do $4 million a year. Okay, you could peel off $500,000.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth it. I don't know.
Well, if he's busy, it must be worth it.
75 guys. They're busy. If you got 70 guys,
it's a lot of people to keep track of.
Think about the payroll on that guy. Shit.
No, thank you.
1,500 times 75.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Okay, 120,000 a month, 120,000 a week.
Yeah.
If every guy made $1,500.
Well, that's probably accurate. At least.
I'm talking, I'm just doing an average. Some guys can make more. They're at least at $20, $25, and he's got guys that are $30, $35 an hour. His main guys are not making $20. His main guys are making 30, 35, $40. Yeah. And, they're major installers that can do production.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else for me, Rick?
I don't have anything else. Is there anything else that you want to shoot at us here?
Well, I just want to thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Let me
no,
talk. Let
thanks
me
for
let me
coming
talk
on.
your ears off.
Well,
No,
see,
seriously, I just want to help people. I really enjoy it. It's very gratifying in this business. You know, the fact that in such a short period of time, you can create something and it doesn't take a long time to do it. Especially resurfacing floors. They can be old and beat, resurface them, make them look brand new again. So it's
yeah,
really beautiful.
and there's something to be said for when you finish a job, you get to see the progress, and there's something
Right?
satisfying about that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Scott, for joining us here today.
Yes, sir.
And we wish you the best of luck, and maybe we'll see each other again on a future podcast.
You and I will talk to each other after you've, once you're going to send everything over. So we'll have a chat then. And
Yeah,
then I
absolutely.
want to interact with you just to see how things are going. And, we're going to upload stuff. We're going to make our own,
Yep.
edits and stuff like that. So hopefully,
Yep. Yep. Yep.